So my name is Illy Annette. I go affectionately by Illy. I'm a Black Indigenous family, Bronx-born New York native, NOLA living for the past 6 years and loving it. Ancestrally connected to the Caribbean islands of Borican and Haiti, which is Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. I'm a multifaceted activist, creative producer, independent curator, and a published poet and scholar with a deep-seated passion for collective healing through creative expression, producing and prioritizing culturally relevant content specific to communities of the global majority. But most importantly, I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a cousin, a sister friend, a community steward, foodie, a truth seeker, student of life, evolving wordsmith, and co-conspirator of change agents, legacy builders, and impact players. So I'm just so honored to be supporting this inaugural We Will Dream Festival with No Dream Deferred, lifting up Lauren Lee Turner and her vision for birthing, right, this multitude of dream spaces and what could be for community in our future. So wanted to uplift that, and then first and foremost, before we get into our conversation, I want each of you to just introduce yourselves, who you are, right? How long have you been doing what you've been doing, but what are some of the other hats that you wear? Yeah, go ahead, start. Come on.
I'll start.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll go second. Thank you for starting. My name is Ray Proctor. I will introduce myself this way. I'm a transplant. I'm finally happy being able to say that I'm a transplant to New Orleans. I've been here for 7 years. I was raised in New Jersey. I lived for 17 years in Chicago. My first teaching position was at Albany State University in Albany, Georgia.
Hey, come on.
Hey,
come on. Lift it up.
But they ain't pay right, so
So we had to shift.
So we had to make a political change. I'm gonna embrace who I am, and I don't have embarrassment about it before figuring out who. So there are two things that I want to start with. I'll start with my name. Mm-hmm. My name is John F. Rayfield Proctor III, and that's a lot of name. And I would say to my father, I was like, when I got to Albany, Georgia, I said, there are so many Proctors here, and I'd never, where did they all come from? And I called my father, and my father said, oh, the plantation that owned us is 76 miles east of Albany, Georgia. And I went, okay, so that was one. Where do people come from? And I spent many years of my life, I'm 54, I'll be 55 in July. I spent many years of my life embarrassed about my name. In my family, when my great-grandparents left the plantation that owned them, they said, you've been so good to us, we're gonna name our children after you. Thus, my grandfather is named John Proctor, which was the name of the man who owned the plantation, and my father is named John Proctor, and am I. My mother was a hustler. I love my mother. When she was pregnant with me, she said, my favorite place on earth is the field behind my Uncle Ray's barn. So I wanna call my son Rayfield. Yes. So my mother, who ain't never been on no field and no barn, but my mother slipped Rayfield in the middle of my name. And then refused to call me John Proctor the entire time I've been growing up. So I've been Ray, and it's created this weird dual identity in my life. Professionally, I've realized that my name carries weight. I have a PhD. I teach at Tulane University. We belong in many rooms. We, people who look like me, belong in many rooms. And sometimes you need to put in signifiers that those rooms recognize. I was ashamed for a very long time. I didn't doctor. I am doctor. I wrote a whole dissertation. I worked all over the country. Yes. It's what I do. And so, but I don't do that because I need to demand respect from my community and my people.
Right.
I do it so that when I walk into those other rooms, they see faces that look like mine.
That's
and
right.
They recognize there is no less than.
Come.
I belong in this room with you. My people belong in this room with you. So I embrace my full name, Dr. John F. Rayfield Proctor III. But in spaces like this, please call me Ray.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's my introduction to to who and what I am. I have a bachelor's in literature, I have a master's in acting, and I have a PhD in theater research with an emphasis in Shakespeare studies.
And how are you connected to this work?
I'm the director of Sons of Liberty, and I am honored and humbled by the director, by the talent of the cast, and by the community that is represented, by the men and women who have served our country.
Yes.
I am humbled by the sacrifices that have been made for me to be a part of this project.
Yes, yes.
Cris?
Chris, come on. Stop.
Yeah, hello, my name is Cris E. Blak. I wrote the play Sons of Liberty, and I hope you all will stay at 7 to see. Thank you. Kentucky born, Houston raised. I consider myself Houstonian. We moved to Houston when I was 2, so
Yeah.
I'm a Houstonian. That's where all my memories lie, and it's what made me who I am. I want to say I've always been a storyteller, even though I'd never noticed it. I also have a hustler. I have a mother. I was raised by a single mother, and somehow she did what most parents didn't and maybe shouldn't do, which was push me towards the arts. When I was growing up, the only thing my mom didn't say, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer. I would walk in and she'd say, you're gonna be a writer. And I would say, no, I'm not, because, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be a basketball player and a rapper. And she was like,
No,
You ain't
not
gonna
for
be
you,
able to
not for you, not for you.
she was like, boy, you're 5'8". You're not going to the NBA. You don't have the voice of a rapper. But she would always say, you're going to be a writer. I don't know why. I just feel it. You're going to be a writer. And that's the wisdom of Black women for you. They have a foresight and a hindsight that is inexplainable. And through my life, I always wanted to tell stories in some way. I spent high school being that annoying kid freestyle rapping during lunch and bothering people and drawing cartoons and doing all these things. And then at the end of high school was when I began writing on accident through slam poetry. And then that bled into playwriting. And what I fell in love with specifically was what I've witnessed the past 2 days here and everything else I've done, which is that when you're in a theatrical space, you're enclosed, it's intimate, and you're watching a moment. It isn't a movie, you can't pause it, come back, you can't rewind, you can't skip to the next scene. You sit and you watch it and you take it all in and you absorb it. And you find that life is happening in front of you, and you find that these stories and these voices, even if they don't immediately connect to your specific life experience, say something to you and say something to your life and say something to your experience or to your family or to your history. And that's what I want to do. I want to tell stories. I don't want to tell stories. I want to tell the truth. And I want to create work that makes people feel seen that don't typically feel seen, because I, most of the time, don't feel seen. And I know that the only way that we will excel in telling stories in this field is if we tell different stories. Shakespeare is great, but we can't only do Shakespeare.
Come on.
We have to take the lessons from Shakespeare and put them based in our own voices and experiences.
That's right.
And so that's what I do, and I want to talk about mental health and masculinity and these things that I feel like for some reason we have movements about everything, and yet we still don't talk about therapy, and we still don't talk about Black men who are depressed and anxious.
Yes.
We talk about no justice, no peace, but we don't talk about the men who can't sleep at night.
Come on.
So I think that first we need to have those conversations, and I think it's much easier to have those conversations when you're watching characters, because not until you walk out or the show is over and you walk outside and the sun hits you or the moon hits you and you say, that's me. And you have to reckon with that, and you have to ask the questions about how you're either complicit in the continuation of the issues discussed or how you've fallen victim to them. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Chris. And we have 2 special guests with us joining the conversation. Please share who you are, right? Many things that you do, right? And also, I would love for you both to talk about warrior writers and Bastion community. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Hargrove. I retired after 22 and a half years Army. I'm from New Orleans originally. And I watched the show yesterday. We came in and watched the play. And the guy, George, he fits me to the T. And the thing about it was, like, you know, when you get out, and especially when it's around that time, they're going to ask you, hey, are you okay? And you're so looking forward to finding out what's the next stage in your life. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm getting out of here, so I'm leaving. But then once you get home and you realize that things not right, you know, you're edgy, you know, it's like you have a problem conforming to civilian life. You know, you expect things to go this way and you're so used to it going that way, but it's not. Okay, I did 4 combat tours. I did chemical defense. I was that guy that was looking for the weapons of mass destruction. I wore the white suit, you know, we had people around us watching us, and we were exposed to some stuff, but the things that they were looking for, I'll be honest with you, we didn't find them. I lost 4 soldiers to an IED attack. I watched them burn to death. It bothers me up to this day. I go to the VA, I do the counseling and stuff like that, but you know, a lot of times it's a mask that you wear. You're constantly depressed, constantly. PTSD is real. Suicide is real.
Yes.
I contemplated suicide. Matter of fact, I had the shotgun here, toe on the trigger, and somebody knocked on the door, and I'm like, who is that? Buddy of mine came from Mississippi to see me. And the funny thing about that whole thing was he passed his sister's house and his brother's house. He said he had to use the restroom. You know, he sat down and he talked to me. He said, man, you need help. So I went to the VA, you know, and I sat in the hospital and things like that. You know, I'm on medication and stuff like that. But it never ends because life is life. And you try your best to go through it. And I always tell, just like I tell Glenn here, it's a mask. I laugh, I joke, but I'm hiding my true feelings. You know, married, divorced, I have a son, you know, and when I look at my life, I'm gonna tell you, life don't owe me anything. You know, graduated Booker T. Washington, Uptown, went to Grambling, I played in the band and stuff like that. I was there 3 years, chemistry major, chem bio, double major. Got in trouble, mom, came home, like you said, that hustler mom.
Yes.
My mom told me, she said, look, I'm gonna give you 2 weeks, son, 2 weeks to find a job.
Ooh.
She said, people here either work or go to school. I was like, well, mama, I was your baby a week ago, you know? but, you know, she said, I'm giving you 2 weeks.
That's it.
So the first week I goofed off, you know, I'm sitting around, I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know? And that Monday morning came to that last week, she said, you found a job yet? You serious? You serious? And then I'm like, she said, yeah, I'm serious. I'm like, oh, wow. They had a recruiting station on 2-lane right off of Carrollton. And I walked there, I got up one morning, and I walked there. From Uptown, we stayed on Delachase in the Broadmoor area. So I walked there. And when I got there, I walked all the way to the back. Nobody said a word to me. And on the way out, an Army guy said, hey, can I help you? I said, okay, let's do it. So I signed, and that's when I stayed in. I said I was going to do 4 years and then get out and you know, go back to college and get my degree. But, you know, fell in love, you know, and I knew, you know, I couldn't go to school and take care of her, you know, because I wanted to get married and things like that. So, and like I said, I did 4 combat tours. I did, when we went to get Noriega, I did Desert Shield, Desert Storm, which was, you count that as one. And I also did a tour of Iraq and a tour of Afghanistan. And when I was leaving the military, because I said I was getting out, the unit that I was attached to at Fort Hood, Texas, they were about to go overseas again. And I was like, no, dog, I'm getting out. I'm gone, right? But what they did was they sent me here to New Orleans. They hooked me up with a reserve unit, well, guard unit. And they were, when they were doing the patrols in the east, the military, and I was the one that was coordinating the patrols, setting them up, you know. And I had a ball doing that because them guys didn't know, all they knew was I was from Fort Hood. They didn't know I was from New Orleans originally. And they would go all goof off us like, where are you, man? Oh, I'm here. No, you're not. No, you're not. And I would joke with them about it, you know. So one of my commanders one day said, son, Hargrove, you from New Orleans, right? And I'm like, oh, man. He got me. And he blew my cover, you know, because I had him right where I wanted him, but he did that. But like I said, really, the show was excellent. And like I said, the actors, man, they were on point about everything. And you know, you miss that camaraderie of the military because those guys, wherever you're from for the rest of your life, you're gonna remember them. I might not talk to them every day, but when I talk to them, it's just like I talked to them yesterday.
Yes.
You know, and we don't sit there and talk about this gun battle or anything like that, you know, because everything ain't bad times. And when you go to war, every day ain't guns and bullets, you know. You have downtime and you do have things that you do, but you know, it's a life and it's a structured lifestyle, you know. So I miss it. I do. Even up to this day, I'll be 60 in August, and I like I say, I do miss it. And I miss, like I say, my people, and I miss the people that I lost too, you know, because Memorial Day is hard for me. You know, holidays are tough on me. You know, I have to come talk to this man all the time, you know, and I'm like, hey man, look. And he like, Joe, it's gonna be all right, you know. And they help me out, you know. And I'm on a ton of medication, so. But, you know, but everybody feel like if something's wrong, they just give you medication, and medication gonna make you all right. And you know, I don't want to even talk about your civilian family and friends. Oh, Joe shell shot, Joe this here or this here. Man, I don't know why y'all went over there and messed with them people in the first place, bro. Them people been beefing for years. It's a job. That's all it is. It's a job. Your boss say, hey, I need you to drive to Shopper-Tools Street. You go drive to Shopper-Tools, and that's it. You know, you can't look at it for more than that. You know, but I'm honored that I did serve, and I'm honored to serve with the people that I've served with. And even when I meet people out here that's been there, that's been in the military, I'm honored for them, you know. I feel like everybody should do at least 2 years military service. I think we would have it would cut down on a lot of the nonsense around here with the killings and things like that, because people would feel a sense of purpose then, you know? Yeah. So that's it. I'm through.
You're good. Thank you.
Good job, Joe.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Glenn Wofford, and I'm a retired Marine. I did 20 years in the Marine Corps, joined right out of high school. I retired, and I was in from 74 to 94, so been out longer than some of you guys are alive, like Cris, for instance. I never did a combat tour. I never even went to Okinawa. For a Marine, that's pretty unusual. Everybody goes to Okinawa. But that's not to say that we didn't do some dangerous stuff. And there were times of separation. I did a couple of deployments, 6-month deployments, and we spent time off the coast of Beirut in case anything happened. Then one of our deployments, we were crossing the North Atlantic, and we were sometimes they want to move Marines from one ship to another ship for whatever reason, some logistical reason. And this one particular time we were crossing North Atlantic, the seas were pretty rough, and we had a helicopter with 6 Marines on board, and it went down in North Atlantic, and we lost all 6 Marines, and that's peacetime. And so, another occasion, we were doing maneuvers, practicing amphibious landings off the coast of North Carolina, and a helicopter went down, and we lost our command chaplain at that time. He drowned. And so you just never know. The military is a dangerous business, even in peacetime. And so you have to be prepared and know that you are taking risk. And mental health is a big thing. We've been here, my family moved here in 1990. I was transferred here. As a matter of fact, Dr. Ray, we moved from Albany, Georgia. We spent 3 years in Albany, Georgia.
Here we go. Look at the connection. Look at that connection.
And 3 years in Albany, Georgia, and that's one of the best tours of duty ever had there in Albany, Georgia. But one sad thing about it, and I didn't really realize it until close to the time to leave, but we were attending the church there in Albany, Georgia, and one day we realized that black people weren't allowed in that church. It's not that they weren't welcome, they just weren't even allowed, unless you're from the island. You know, and for some reason, if you're from Jamaica, Trinidad, you're not considered, a black person. You're okay, you're cool, which is, a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But so when we moved here, one of the things we said was we were going to find a church where there's some diversity in there. We're not going to go to a lily white church. And I guess it just what you guys know in my heart, and it's just not right what's happening in this country. And but anyway, my son, my oldest son, is married to a beautiful black woman, and then we adopted a son in 1992 who was biracial, and have 3 beautiful black granddaughters. But anyway, going back to the subject at hand, we mental illness is a very real thing. I suffered with that for about 10 years. When I came here, I was so bad. My wife told me, and I was a Marine captain at the time. And let me tell you, you don't want your boss to know that you're suffering from depression when you're a Marine captain. First off, Marine officers aren't supposed to have problems. And secondly, that's being suffering from depression at that time was there was a real stigma to that. And I guess one of the most telling things was that I one day I actually prayed. I said, "Dear God, give me cancer. Make me alcoholic or something. Give me something that people can see." Because when you're suffering depression or PTSD and don't have any physical injuries, people tend to look at you like, "What's wrong with you?" Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, if you can't find your darn bootstraps, you have no idea where they are, how you going to pull yourself up by them? And so anyway, my wife gave me an ultimatum. She said, "You either go get help or I'm taking the kids, I'm leaving." And that was big because we've been married almost 50 years, 48 years now. And we were 12 when we got married. Not really. Anyway,
I'm telling.
we, so I went and saw my command chaplain, and he knew exactly, he was very older, senior Navy chaplain, very kind, and he knew exactly what to do, and he got me in contact with a civilian psychiatrist, and I was able to get the help I needed. And so it's been years now. I don't have any more of a problem with it at all. And I consider it nothing short of a miracle, to tell you the truth. But we're here at Bastion. My wife and I live at Bastion. We're empty nesters now, and we're here to help other people. We're here to serve. And there's people with TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. There's people that are suffering from all sorts of mental issues like PTSD, and so we're there to just help them, support them any way that we can. And one of the things we do is I think warrior writers, as in writing, and so we get together once a month, and we're able to sit down, and the facilitator, which oftentimes is Lavella, she'll give us a prompt, and she'll read a prompt to us, which is a poem, or sometimes it can even be a picture, and she'll ask us to write something about that prompt. And it's a way to get your feelings out there, because, like Joe said, we get pretty good at wearing masks, and so unless you really know somebody, you can't really see through those masks. So the Warrior Writers is just one way that helps us to get our feelings out there and talk about things that we might not otherwise talk about. But we also, not only Warrior Writers, but we also have a wonderful staff at Bastion that cares about people very much. And as a matter of fact, we lost one of our residents on Memorial Day. He was found deceased in his apartment. And that was a real kick in the tail to the other residents and also to the staff. Because the staff looked at it as a professional failure. They felt like they let this young man down because they weren't able to see through his mask and to see exactly where he was hurting. And he's about the sixth or seventh person we've lost since Joe and I lived there. We've been there, it'll be 5 years, August 9th. And we've lost about 6 or 7 people. And that's a lot. That's a lot. It's not all self-inflicted, but some were directly related. But still, it hurts when you lose somebody, because if they would only just ask for help. And the actor that played George, he did a tremendous role. And Cris, I don't know where you got your inspiration for writing the screenplay. Cris, right?
Yes.
I don't know where you got your inspiration, but a lot of it was really dead on. And I know Joe and I both really appreciated watching it, and it was we just thank you for asking us to be here.
Of course, thank you so much. We're just so honored to be in partnership with Bastion, right, and with Warrior Writers, and just to all you all that are coming to support the show. Just no portion of our ticket sales will support the work of Warrior Writers and Bastion. So we're going to pay it forward, and we're so grateful and honored to do that. And that was actually going to be, thank you, Glenn. That was going to be my question for you. What was the activation, the inspiration? Why the story? Why now?
Well, I think, I wanted to tell a story that focused on Black men. Two brothers, as you see in the show. One, George, who's the veteran, who's more outwardly struggling. And I think it's funny that people, when we've had kind of talkbacks about this today, have mentioned George and not mentioned what I see in the show, which is that Barry is brother is struggling as well in a lot of ways, and is wearing his mask. George uses alcohol and is on medication and all these things. But Barry wears the mask of ambition, which a lot of Black men do as well. So I wanted to show these two faces, both blood-related and both hiding behind masks, who are both struggling right beside each other, and yet neither of them can just reach out. They're this close the whole show, and neither of them realize that they can just do that and open up. So that, but also just growing up having men in my family in the military, but also growing up and going to high school in Houston and going to a public high school that wasn't necessarily the best, and seeing this kind of perception that my friends had of, this is the only thing I can do. It wasn't, you can go to this school and this school and this school. It was this school and this school cost this much money, and you have to have these test scores that I don't have. And this is a guarantee. And I've seen my friends go off, and I've seen my friends change. These guys I would eat lunch with and laugh with, that I grew up with, are now fundamentally different people who may be physically stronger, but mentally are not the guys that I knew. But that doesn't change me knowing their humanity and knowing their stories. And as a man of color who has struggled with depression and anxiety in his life, anyone who has, it's a continual struggle. I feel like it's my responsibility. I feel like that was given to me the same as any gift or talent is given to me. And I believe that I was put on this earth to use both of those. I was used to use both my ups and downs as a mode of inspiration to tell stories that make moments like this, where brave men like this, who are the backbone of this country, are able to sit on stage and tell their story, and then you all will see actors representing that story. We're all a continuation of legacy, whether we know it or not. So I just want to, while I have the mic in my hand, thank you all.
Yes.
Thank both of you, truly. And thank you, and everyone. We will dream for facilitating this and making sure this happens. And I just think it makes the show itself even more powerful, because you see that it's not just people playing pretend, it's life. So yeah.
Thank you, Chris. And I just want to uplift that it's just so divinely beautiful that the three men in this show are all ex-veterans themselves. And that was something that they did, right? Like it was, Lauren and even, right? I didn't even know that. But it was so divine that it had to happen that way. And they all just do such a beautiful job. And so my question, like just in comparison to preparing for like a full production, right? This is a stage reading. What did you have to do in order to approach the directing of this kind of truth-telling?
So one of the things, I think about the person that I am now in the space that I occupy. I'm an adult. For a very long time, I was a child, and I thought of myself as a child. There's a responsibility when you walk into a space as a director that says, I got you. I got you. Looking there, you will see, if you stay for the reading tonight, all of our actors reach this sense of vulnerability on stage. People talking about their feelings. And I was like, oh, I know what my job is. My job is to, I got you. I'm gonna hold on to all of you all so that you can experience all of that. I will keep you safe in this process so that you can create the art you do. I think about and so as I approached, but the same is true of our writer. You have to show respect for the writer. You have to show respect for the actors. And you have to show respect for this community. And you have to understand that you are a part of something much bigger. This is, and I've said it to many people, this is not about me. I am a facilitator for this moment. I guide, I shape. That is what my role in this is, to keep everybody safe so that they have the freedom to create the beautiful art that you will see on the stage. And it's interesting. It's something that doesn't happen. black men are never allowed to be vulnerable. What an actor will do on this stage tonight, exposing how they feel in front of strangers with somebody else's words in their mouth, they're doing something that's incredible. And it's only because I've been here for 40 years doing this, I was like, I got you. I got you. I'm not gonna let you fall. I will catch you every time, because that's, and you have to, directing is not about me. It's about this place, this moment, these actors, this story. That's what when I say I feel humbled, that's what I mean. And I'm now confident enough in my ability that I got this.
Yes,
If that makes any sense.
of course. I love yes.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And there are so many stories about black women, and I'm taking nothing away from them. Lauren Turner is a hero.
That's right.
There's so many people who are
We are
heroes.
indebted.
So many people who are heroes. But the world doesn't look at black men and allow them to where are and I know we live in a patriarchal society, so men are always uplifted, men are always, but not black men, not black men. We are so often portrayed as the villains in so many stories. So it's weird. Like I think about Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality.
Yes. Yes.
And the intersection for black men is oftentimes that we are the criminal, we are violent, we are the thug, and we are the whatever in the American story that gets told. But that's not true. There are black men with feelings, there are soldiers with feelings, there are veterans with feelings, and those stories have to be told as well. Yes, it is 1,000,000,000% important that we uplift the black women, the hustlers that have brought us to where we are. But we also have to make space for black men to be more than just this archetype that we get sold as. We have so many stories and so many voices. This is one of those.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you for uplifting. I just want one question, and then I want to leave it for folks in the audience if you feel it in any questions that you may have. You know, in today's world, I asked this a little differently for our actors earlier, but like just thinking about what may seem like a post-pandemic world. Is it really not right? However, I was just having this conversation, earlier today, and just really talking about how this pandemic, I feel, has brought a heightened awareness of checking in with yourself, right? And what it is that we need individually. So what are some of the ways that each of you, this is a question for each of you, that you just really not only check in with you, take care of you, how do you stay, creative? How do you stay in a mode of just staying uplifted, right? Like how do you keep yourself uplifted and going, right? How do you keep the hope alive in your heart?
How do you keep hope alive in your heart?
Yeah.
Well, I would say we do it by being involved with people. And I'm pretty much an introvert. Been one most of my life. But since we've been here at Bastion, my wife and I both have committed ourselves to doing our best to make a difference in other people's lives. And so we're there to support people, to help people, basically be good neighbors. So what does that entail? Well, it means treating people like people. Treating people with the respect they deserve. And being open to people. And if you say, well, if you need anything, call me, even in the middle of the night. Well, if you do that, but you don't answer your phone, then people try you a couple of times, and they figure, well, we didn't really mean that. Well, when people call me in the middle of the night, I answer the phone. I actually answer, and I get up if I need to and take them to the VA hospital or wherever. And so it's a matter of developing trust with people. If they trust you, then they will they will call you. And then if they're calling you, then they'll be able to talk to you. And it gives you an opportunity to talk to them. So sometimes my wife and I we'll get tired, and so we might take a break, maybe go visit our daughter in Mobile for a weekend or something. But we encourage each other, and we remind each other why we're doing this. And the main reason is because people have always been invested in our lives, all through our lives, married lives together. There's been people that have invested in us and played a part in our lives. Many people. And so we're doing our best to do that, be that type of person who is not afraid to get involved.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else want to share? So, did you want to share anything? I was just going to leave it for, we have time for like one question from the audience. So if anybody have any questions? Or, yes, please go. Oh, yeah. Yes.
He thought he recognized it.
And I'm also a published author now. Oh, beautiful.
And I've been volunteering with female veterans for 23 years now.
Oh, thank you for your work. Thank you for your
And
service.
utilizing my literature in the VA. So I write relevance books.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, let's give a round of applause. Thank you so much for
I
that.
have a PTSD diagnosis and I do have 100% disability rating.
Yes.
That's all.
No, thank you for sharing. Anybody? Yeah, please.
yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Someone up there said, I played last night.
Mhm.
Play with last night.
Mm-hmm.
We came in today for talk back.
Yeah, and with the play is going to be happening, right? Literally, we have
We're gonna
a couple
walk off
more minutes
stage.
and then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the show's going to be starting. Yeah.
Say it again then?
Say no, the show's going to be starting shortly.
Okay, so we're going to see something.
Yes, it's leading right into the show.
Right.
It's just a little offering, right? Yeah. Conversation. Did you have any questions? Anything you wanted to ask?
Now, this gentleman kind of stepped on my toes all kinds of ways. I'm a writer, playwright, poet, spoken word artist.
Yes.
I'm Navy, 3-time Vietnam vet, worked back there on the aircraft carrier.
Right.
And when I was in the Navy, Marines were in charge of the Navy security. I went to the brig 3 times. So I hung out down there with the Marines. Twice was wrongfully placed in solitary. Once I deserved it. What I do now as a playwright, we're going to be doing Broadened Opportunity. On Juneteenth, we're going to be doing refer to theatrical reading at B.O.S.T on Legion Field in St. Louis. And this is about the Angola 3 men who were falsely placed in solitary confinement.
Something like that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely connect because I love that you included that for sure. So come and support. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's, I really think that being in the brig, being treated unjustly, kind of directed me towards the work I do with wrongfully incarcerated men. Work with an organization, Great Resurrection Out Exoneration, who men who've been wrongfully incarcerated and exonerated. And we had one man, Ford, did 40 years, not 40, 30 years on death row. And he was exonerated.
Right.
So, and that's where I feel like my military bearing is directing to what I'm doing now.
Yes.
And I do take medication, I see psychiatrists, we got a group session, all this. I have read a lot of it. I'm not 100%.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. I appreciate it. We actually may just have we'll have one question yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
late, but I feel honored to meet you, gentlemen. Which one of you served in Vietnam War?
Neither
No,
Yeah.
no.
That dude right there.
Because not many people make a connection with veterans. What I'm doing now is spreading the story of the babies who came out of the war. And I'm a war baby. I came out of the Vietnam War, and I just recently found my biological father and his family. He served in the Vietnam War, and he got discharged because he got an altercation with one of the higher ups, but they reversed the charges because it was racially, motivated. But I just always feel so connected with veterans and just seeing you guys and seeing, working with Mr. Cornell. I honor you guys because you guys risked your lives for us.
Yes.
And we want to you guys. I mean, you guys didn't have to do what you did, but unfortunately, some circumstances made you guys go over there and fight, or whatever circumstance you were put into, but you risked your life. And for me in my situation, I would be here to be able to continue to tell that story
Right.
in regards to what happened to you guys, and that's my mission, is to continue my work. I'm a director and filmmaker as well, and so my genre is to stick with historical events, and military is close to my heart, and also working with Mr. Cornell and Angola 8 is close to my heart. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Three.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
It's so
sharing.
ironic, I knew who Mr. Ram was. We worked a couple of plays I've been through with them, and I didn't know anything about our story as a Vietnam baby. And I find it so ironic. I'm a, let's say, 3-time Vietnam vet, and the director of our play, I found out was a Vietnam baby.
Right. Right. You see, that's right. That connection, right? That's how it's divine. It's divine timing. I know we didn't have time to answer the questions, but one word you want to leave with, like to share how do you take care of yourself, like one word to describe.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if, I was gonna offer invitation, we're Bastion,
Yeah.
where Joe and I live is at 1901 Miraboo in Gentilly. If any of y'all would just like to stop in sometime and say hello and say, want a little tour of what we do, it's the only community like it in the entire country. It's the only intentional community for veterans. So if you want to see what it's like, please feel free to be our guest, and we would love to show you around. So.
Yeah. So just one word to check out. One word to check out. How you feeling right now? What's your
Good.
You feel good? Yes.
Yeah, feel good.
Yes. I love it. Feeling good. One word, Joe.
Grateful.
Grateful.
Grace. All of you, give yourselves grace.
Yes.
Alive.